Hi and welcome back to It's a Miracle Beauty. My name is Brandy and I am a beauty review channel. I do unboxings, mystery boxes, foundation, eyeshadow reviews, product reviews. If that's something that you would like, I hope that you would like, share, and subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Today is the final video in my collab with Nona from My-So-Called-Life1977. We chose to review the e.l.f. bite-sized palettes, a different palette each week for each of us. There's 8, we each took 4, and we did break it up, and we're hoping to bring a highlight to invisible illness and the struggles that people have that aren't always on the outside. So this is probably my least informative video for the sheer fact that I've kind of rambled a lot in these, and I kind of wanted to summarize, make a few key points, and also this is a really simple eyeshadow palette that really doesn't have a ton of guts to it, so it was a pretty quick look to make. I kind of made a mental list of things I wanted to say about Nona's channel, and every time I record this I forget something, I say it wrong. I mean, it just is coming out wrong. So last week I had the same issue. I kind of get tongue-tied. I kind of get nervous when I film sometimes. So to get out of my head and kind of let it go, what I did is I actually did a slide and I split the screen and I actually had Nona's channel kind of running and so you could see it. I'm going to do that again this week because I really feel that she has such a diversity in her channel. It really doesn't do her service for me to list off a couple styles she does. I think if you see her titles and her videos, it really does speak for itself. So I am going to add the split screen in here as I do the tutorial portion. And if you have any questions, I hope you'll post down below. Both Nona and I will respond. Here we go. So as I said in the intro, this is our final week of the collab for You Don't Look Sick or highlighting invisible illness. And this week I am reviewing the Cream and Sugar. This palette, in my opinion, is the least interesting of the ones that I have. It does look like this. I do think that probably not going to have the most exciting look today, but I wanted to make sure we covered all of them. We agreed that we do all 8, so it's okay to have a boring one. Part of this collab is we wanted to discuss invisible illness and different things, and I feel like in the last 3 weeks we covered a ton of it. I think that really the moral of the story is, and why I am going to be using this transition shade in my crease. I think the biggest moral of the story is that everyone has a struggle and everyone doesn't always know someone else's struggle. And because you don't know what that person's going through, you should work on, you know, one of the things being talked about right now, we learned about my psychology program, is inherent bias. It's a bias that you don't even realize you have. It automatically, it's subconscious, and it's something that's based on your upbringing or your experiences, and it builds from the time you're a child till you are older. I grew up in a home that, quite honestly, I think was pretty liberal. I think that overall there was definitely some bigoted or some racist components to it. I'm not going to even pretend there wasn't. There absolutely was. However, it was not homophobic or xenophobic or a lot of the things I think were consistent with my upbringing's time frame. I grew up in the 80s, mainly 90s as a teenager. Next I'm actually going to go, that shade basically is my skin color, and I honestly don't really care for it. I think that it doesn't blend as well. In fact, all of the transition shades have been really good blenders, and this one seems to be an exception. I don't know if it's going to pick up on camera because it is such a light shade, but it literally has skipping, and I set my eye lids before I started. So next I'm going to go into this deep shade right here. But I think that in the 80s it was like okay to be xenophobic. It wasn't, but I mean the public consensus was it was okay to be xenophobic, it was okay to be homophobic, it was okay to be sexist, it was okay to be racist. Like, I just feel like that time frame really had a lot of issues with how it related to people, and I feel like I had a single parent home, and I feel like my mom tried at least to instill that people were okay. Like, I always told people that when I started dating men of color, my family really had a problem with it. And I had a baby with a guy I dated in high school who was black. And then I have 4 children with my husband who is Mexican. And amongst other things, but that's his main, how he identifies. But when I started dating guys of color, my family didn't have a problem that I had friends of color. But when I started dating them, it became a problem. And it was more of a embarrassment thing than it was a issue with me actually being with these gentlemen. So I think that as a community, I think that in regards to race and everything going on, but also in regards to illness, you don't know anybody's experience. Like I always taught my one son, you know, it's how you identify. Someone else is going to see you X, Y, Z. However, how do you identify? And it's the same with illness and things like that, is people want to tell you what's going on, but really they aren't experiencing what you're experiencing. A great example of this is when I was having problems, which looking back, who knows how to pinpoint exactly what disease it was, but the wide variety of issues I was having, and I go to the doctor, and every single time there was this almost misogynistic, there was this wide attitude that I just couldn't handle pain, not that I was actually in a lot of pain. And a great example of that is, I can't remember if I talked about these videos or not, but so I had my gallbladder out and they failed to clip my bile duct. I ended up with a severe septic infection, and it also had bile pouring into my inner abdominal cavity freely. So I was in such excruciating pain, I would try to lay down and go to bed because that's what made it the worst, which seems odd to me, things standing up, vertical, but whatever. I try to go to bed and I would literally sit up screaming at the top of my lungs. And my husband's like looking at me like, you crazy woman, like, what are you doing? But we went to 3 different hospitals in a total of 5 visits, and they actually put in my chart that I was a drug seeker. And this is the doctors that failed to clip the bile duct. It's one of the doctors that were in surgery. So I really think that there's this attitude in medicine that don't have the same pain levels or shouldn't be listened to. Like there's this inherent bias in the medical profession. Another great example of this is my rheumatologist, who I fired last summer for not this reason, but this I should have fired him for, literally said to me in a visit, you should probably bring your husband next time. I'd like to see his perspective of your experience. Why? It's my experience. Why would you need to see it, talk to him, anything? So I think it's really important, I guess to kind of summarize, is that we need to listen when someone gives their experience. Your perception of their experience isn't necessarily their experience. So next I'm going to go into the deeper shimmer shade. There is 2 shimmers in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to go into the deeper one. This would be on your left, right next to the deepest shade. And I am wetting my brush. I wasn't super worried about this deeper shade being perfect because I am using 2 shimmers. I am going to go over it. This was probably my least favorite, like just eyeballing it, of the palettes. I thought Nona liked colors. I wanted to take it so that she would have the colorful ones. And I think that I should have been more selfish. I don't like this one. I don't like anything about this palette. It's not working well. It's not looking well. I'm going to go back in with that deeper shade. I just think that one of the things that people are crying out in the world for right now is compassion and understanding. And I feel like I've said it 10 different ways, but I'm saying the same thing, is that their experience is just that, their experience, and we can't speak for anyone else other than our own experience. Like a great example I said about my kids in one of the other videos is my children are children of color, and they've dealt with racism and different things. And while it killed me and it killed my heart, I was watching secondhand. This was happening to them. So while it sucks that any of us had to feel that, and it's unfortunate that we operate in a world that does treat children that way, I can't tell them what they felt. I can't tell them what they experienced. I can't tell them what their perception of that was. All I can tell them is what I viewed, the discontempt I have for the situation, and then, try to help them resolve it in their head. So I am spraying a second brush. I'm going to go into this other shimmer shade. And I'm going to try to just make that, not just the inner corner, but the whole intersection. So I think that's the best this one's gonna get, to be honest. Not loving it. I'm gonna go finish my other eye. I'm gonna use less of that color in the front and add a little bit more to deepen it and finish the rest of my makeup, and then I will come back and give you some final thoughts on this palette. Okay, this is my finished look. I have to say today has been like the carnival of horrors. Like, I feel like everything that could go wrong today has gone wrong. I'm not loving this palette. This again was the brown sugar palette. I'm not loving this. I don't think, like, again, the deepest shade was not the best quality. This lighter shimmer looks white when you put it on, and it doesn't look white in the pan. This shade is really good, honestly. I love that one, but this one is my skin color, so it didn't really do much. So it was just a mess. And when I went to finish the rest of my makeup, I had so many problems. So I went to put on my Laura Mercier that I am currently panning in my Graveyard Project pan, and it is almost gone. I just had it standing up, and it's like way down here. However, it's literally like I put it on and it was just like moving and shifting, and I don't know if it was reacting to the primer or what it was. However, it just seemed like one thing after another. And then my other thing that I'm panning is the Sweetie Pie bronzer by Too Faced. As it's getting lower, it's picking up more of the pink, and so it's not actually, it was kind of doing more pink than bronze. So I'm like, what is that? So I just felt like I was like recapping and fixing like the whole time I did my makeup. Like, it was just not fun. So let's summarize. I gave you a little bit of insight on how I feel about this palette. This, of the 4 that I tried, and I've also tried the jalapeno one, which is the best palette of these. But of the 5 that I have tried so far, 4 of which I reviewed in this series, this is by far the worst. Like, if this was a $10 palette, I would literally do the effort to go return it. Since it's $3 and I can use that shade, I'll let it slide. However, it is the worst palette. So I personally think that majority of these palettes are worth it, even if you don't love every shade in them, even if every shade isn't perfect, because they're $3. And honestly, most of these have really great quality. Like, the majority of the ones I tried had really great quality. If I remember correctly from Nona's video, she was running into the same thing. Either all of the shades worked or similar. So this one, I think that if you want them all, if you're like a completionist and you want them all, fine. Otherwise, I would pass on this one. I just don't think it's great. So I hope that you've enjoyed this series. I really had a blast doing it with Nona. Again, we had kind of corresponded, but nothing super serious prior to this collab, so it's really been amazing getting to know her better and getting to watch more of her videos and things like that. I look forward to doing more with Nona and collabing more. I honestly enjoyed it. I think that she's really dedicated. Like, she's just really organized, and it's great to have someone that you work with that has that respect for what we're doing. And I think that's it. So if you like eyeshadow reviews, foundation reviews, pan challenges, unboxings, mystery boxes, I hope that you will like, share, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and I truly hope I see you again soon.